today, tonight.
Everything changing. Weed smoke in the crib, I consider that saying. Brand new spaces, even though I got the same old whip. Back and forth, I'm trying to hit the strip. Hit the bar and maybe take a sip. I'm feeling sensual, so you could love me, but I'm prone to ghost. In my prime, but really I don't know. Maybe right now, but I'm getting close. Smooth as all that shit they put on toast. Like avocado or butter with the sodium low. Came through like a breeze on the coast. Little chilly, come and pick up your coat. Girl, wanna know how we roll. Real slow, so you stay in control. And it's a two-dog, yo, so you know how it go. No space for a lame or a troll. In fact, I tax him, maybe pay him a toll. Explain how you fuck with me, but when I post, you continue to scroll. Can't you tell that I'm bearing my soul in these songs? 4 in the morning, studio lights on. Or your favorite rapper got someone to write it for him. He don't even feel it, he don't even spit it. All his flows counterfeit. Yeah, but I ain't finna sit and fit. See, I'm way too cold that this is just sitting, bitch. Okay, definitely shit. Suck you, bitch, been tryna suck a nigga. Fuck, I look like, not your nigga. Watch when them hoes say they fucking with you. A wise man told me there's a bigger picture, so I took 4 steps back. Fresh shit's been foreclosing, opposing the status quo. Alone when I pips, puffing on 1,000 notes, but tryna get back down to earth without touching dirt. All the type that'll put in work, surrounded by the type that would bite they shirt. I'm still gon' ball, nigga, call me dirt. I ain't gon' pass it neither, unless you spittin' that Eve. Shout out to the soul group eaters. Hop on the track, it's an instant leader. We the same niggas that built up Giza. And I'm back on my pyramid shit. No scheme, but a dream that'll change the world. A dream that'll change the world. A dream that'll change the world. When it comes to this shit, man, we ain't playing around. Everything high definition. In the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th dimension.
Breaking down some good old astrology today. I had a jazz vibe coming in, you know, nice and smooth. Song.
Hey, this is for better spirits. Might just head let my mama hear it. I put my heart into every lyric. This is the only way to get near it. Who I am is not in my appearance. That's a portion that I gave the dabbling into the esoteric. Tarantino, I direct the message. Might not be, but in time they will. Slowly opening they chakra wheels. Now they rolling with a pot of steel. See, alchemy is such a precious skill. Mastery, I do that shit at Wiggy. My nigga, I surely will. See me recoup off of every bill and still make enough to keep it trill. But what am I chasing? These blunts that I'm facing been adding up. I've been stressing myself and I've had enough. Man, it's time to let go, think I'm man enough. I'm stage creating a wave for all the real spirits to rise above. I'm standing on stage, creating a wave for all the real spirits to rise above. Yeah.
What up? It's your boy Dave B. You watching Dave B on TV, where we go beyond the everyday bullshit that people on a day-to-day basis. Today we breaking down some astrology, you know what I'm saying, where we going way further than any kind of pop culture astrologer might do. So today we talking about the moon in Sag. Even though the moon is not yet in Sag, it's in Scorpio. Still kind of coming off that energy, but as we go to sleep and into the next morning, we're going to start to feel effects of the moon being in Sagittarius. Now the sun is already in Leo, so it's already been a matter of setting the stage for something, right? But now, as far as what we need to express, it needs to be forms of expansion due to the fact that the moon is coming in as, you know, the Sagittarian aspect. Excuse me, just ate. Coming in from the Sagittarian aspect, looking for us to expand. You know, it's all Jupiter energy. So Jupiter needs us to expand. Wisdom, knowledge, things like that. In the way we express ourselves right now with Leo. So we either going to be expressed forms of wisdom or forms of showing how much we're trying to escape from something. And what we're escaping from is what we set as a stage to begin with. So a lot of people might have been expressing themselves in a certain way in the very beginning of the season. And now this is when they go and start kind of second guessing what they've been putting on that stage if it's not aligned with their true self. Because a lot of times that was the big thing. You know, this time around, it's like, hey, are you actually being authentic? Are you actually being yourself? or you trying to portray face or character that's not true to you, that's going to, again, prove itself to be something other people want to be a part of, you know what I'm saying, or proven to be something that's not actually of quality or nothing of truth. And if you ain't got no real integrity behind it, real strong qualities behind it, then everything that you're trying to put on that stage is going to continue to fall short, you know what I'm saying? So you got to keep that in mind right now when it comes to these energies. It's like there's not really playing with you. We got a very close conjunction with Jupiter. So this is passion. This is where the passion comes in from wanting to expand, right? But these two energies, this conjunction opposite the moon and Sagittarius, can make you afraid, not feeling comfortable with the way you might have to expand in order to meet on that stage, or not being comfortable with how passionate you have to be about the time right now to, you know, because basically with Mars conjuncting Jupiter, it's like expansion needs your passion right now. You got to be about trying to get more information about something, right? And in the very beginning, it's like it's kind of two ways to it. You could be passionate about getting information to the point where you procrastinate still. You still play out forms of escapism. Or this could be you actually gaining the information you need, but that information also needs an equal amount of application. You could be putting something towards it. Now, this was sextile in the sun. So in a lot of ways, what we were learning about, right, if you was directed into the right area, would be more information. It's almost like the equivalent of if you was doing a performance, you was on stage. This is like having props that can add to what you're trying to put on that stage. So having props, y'all know, it enhances the immersion of the audience. People can interact, they understand what you're trying to do, rather than if you was on stage and you didn't have no props and you was trying to make people imagine what it is that you was using up on stage, right? But like the added information that we got from the Mars conjunct Jupiter, that could have been extra things that you could have added to the performance that would have gave it more, you know, help everybody get more involved into it, immersed in it. And hopefully by now you got individuals who's invested into it, want to know more about it. So continuing on with that, the moon being in Sagittarius, right, it's opposite that energy. So with that off the rip, it's like you kind of run the risk of getting a little emotionally to you know, again, that Sagittarius energy, it either is going to choose to, or it's going to run away. It's going to escape everything, because Sagittarius likes to, you know, kind of in and out and have that freedom to explore, experience, and then go, you know what I'm saying, if they want, you know, freely. And the better you can kind of play that free energy, the better they end up playing with it. But for right now, when it comes to your individual life, you might learn this when it comes to the things that you have been learning or have been putting on stage even. Now, it's a trine with the sun. So, you know, this is real powerful energy and it's creating a grand fire. But on the other end of that trine, Aries, we got Chiron and we got the North Node. So again, these are energies, but these are energies regarding mistakes, that's Chiron, and then our spiritual path, which is very uncomfortableness that we have to create new thoughts and feelings in. So, you know, we might feel the pressure of needing to expand more in whatever it is that we are involved in. But the question is, how do we go about that? How do we do that effectively, right? And so that might be right now on an emotional level. You might not feel comfortable kind of, you know, this is like where you start to get forms of imposter syndrome. You feel like, damn, I'm trying to expand and I should know what I'm talking about, but I don't know, maybe I need to know a little bit more, or maybe I need a little bit of this. You know, the moon opposite Jupiter, uncomfortable with your experiences at the moment. You're not really going through the things, like everything up until this point might have been going somewhat in your favor, somewhat smoothly, but then recently certain things might have been kind of going, you know, away from you, and it's like, damn, I thought I was making progress. Because ever since that retrograde hit, you know, and we've been feeling some of the effects of that, you know what I'm saying, some of that result of just feeling like, damn, okay, there's something I have to readjust, review, and all of that itself has been kind of putting everybody in a sense where they're a little bit fudded, they're a little bit on edge. And what it really is they're just anxious about their own growth, you know, anxious about what they got going on, because the Mercury retrograde has already been squaring both the Mars and Jupiter energy in Gemini. So a lot of what we was trying to learn might have been in a different angle. We might have been trying to learn things, but looking at it as ways to critique ourselves more heavily, and that would have been certain things that could lead you to a space to subtract yourself from the equation and say, wait a minute, let me get more of this, more information, so that I don't feel uncomfortable. But the whole thing is, you have to be uncomfortable. You have to be cool with being uncomfortable in order to get with them. You said, Scorpio, please, hey, look, if you want it, go ahead and drop a donation. That's what we on right now. We talk about whatever I want to talk about until I see a donation. You know what I'm saying, for a request. But when this other energy though, the moon being in Scorpio, I mean the moon being, look what you did. Look what you did. No, the moon being in Sagittarius, you know, again, this is us starting to want to expand more anyway. Now that energy is also, I say low key, it's a square, but it's really low, it's going in trine because Mercury is sliding back into Leo if it's not in there yet. So with that whole transition, it's like, you know, it's learning a little bit more. It's like it's learning from Mercury a little bit, because I think actually, nah, by the time I think the moon gets into Sag, I'm pretty sure Mercury gonna be into Leo already. So it's gonna be more so of a trine, but a trine off the retrograde. So we're gonna have to be able to feel, it's almost like our mind is going to be on the same par with how we feel, and we may be able to do that transition a little smoothly, you know, a little more smooth, based upon just the moon being in Sagittarius, look at, yo, and Mercury going back into Leo at this point is, now we got the information, we feel like we got more of the details. The retrograde is now trying to readjust how we go about expressing that. So there might have been a lot of things we were seeing in the way we was going about putting things on stage, or a certain way of expressing ourselves, that now needs to be able to remix and formulate a better way to going about that entirely. And the moon in Sagittarius, right, if you've been planting good seeds, this will be you being encouraged by, and this is where, again, more willingness to want to expand on what it is that you know, and indicate that in a way that's effective and can flow and connect with others, right? So this is a big time for stepping into that. You know, you've been prepping yourself for it, but now it's like, not only do you have to step in it, it needs to look like you are actually living out that experience. It's almost like this is that type of energy, this is that type of time where you got to fully embody that you believe in. You got to fully embody what it is that you're bringing into your, you know, into your world, like, or as far as a manifestation, right? And as you manifest more of these experiences, this is where you're going to also have to jump into that energy, carry out a, you know, you gonna have to actually do it. You can't, there's no more room for bullshit. And at the closer we get to Virgo season, that's when it's all about, you know, checking the results. So we got to keep in mind that too, you know what I'm saying, what you've been proclaiming yourself to be, you got to answer for that. And this is why 2 moons ago, I was talking about integrity, because that integrity, if you was being honest with yourself and you was carrying out your truth, you know, you was putting forth effort to express more self, then at this point, this shouldn't be you shouldn't be too afraid of this. This should be something you're actually excited for and willing to jump in full force, right? As opposed to the other energy, if you've been kind of doing things, but you've been trying to, you know, throw up a facade for the sake of getting attention. Now that you got the attention, you got the eyes on you, everybody can like, okay, well, now what? And if you don't have anything to show for that, that's where things start to go left field, where it starts to become, you know, again, it's almost like to lack faith in you. People are going to start to pull back from you, in the sense of not feeling like you are what you don't practice what you preach. Basically, this is like prime practice what you preach energy, where second we give you the attention that you've been wanting, can you actually back it up with something valuable that can keep us in the audience? If not, that's where you're going to start to feel like, damn, every around me is kind of giving me the standoffish energy. You know what I'm saying? This is like how when the moon is in Sagittarius, right? It's almost like The Boy Who Cried Wolf, where we was kind of trying to say something, right, but we've been might have saying it when it wasn't true. So now that everybody, now it's almost like you done called everybody's attention. They nothing important. So now, you know, you be like, it might be some time passing, you be like, wait, I got it now, come look at me now. Everybody's gonna kind of brush as, nah, this person is lying, this person ain't really got it, I don't really believe this person. That's a lack of faith, lack of belief in what it is that you're trying to express. This is people walking out of the theater on you. You know what I'm saying? You was on that stage and you forgot your lines, but now you starting to remember it, but you didn't try to call people's attention on the wrong. Everybody's kind of tired of you at that point. And you know, that's the bad seed into this, where going into that full moon energy, like we talked about, being satisfied with your associations, your community, and in a sense those in the audience or those be interacting with within the public arena. At this point, it's like, damn, if you've been bullshitting we already seen that you full of shit. And that's what the whole moon and Scorpio transit was too. The moon, that was kind of bringing a lot of things that you needed to get out of emotionally, that would have prevented you from acting in ways that would set you up for a time during this transit. AKA, you know, when people really got deep into what the character was, they couldn't find no real substance. Therefore, again, they already conclusion about what your performance is about, what you are about, what your purpose is about, what your mission might be about, who you are in a sense. Because one thing about transits, right? We know that transits are just transitions, and our natal chart represents that we stamp that we wanted to come in and experience. So when you think of during certain transits, right, we all go through different travels, but see, the portion of you, which is something you shouldn't focus too much on, but every now and then you have to consider how your energy is rubbing off on others, because part of life and the world we in, part of the lesson we have to learn in this lifetime is how to relate. Everything comes down to relation. You know, even when we talk about astrology alignments and things like that, like how moon align with the moon, how the moon align with the sun is going to determine a certain energy. So same thing as you as an individual, how you align with those in your surroundings and your life and your family and these things, your relationship to them, it matters. It plays out a certain energy, and that energy a lot of times be the cause of a lot of people's stress, be the cause of a lot of people's happiness. And when I say happiness, I'm not to, you know, rely on others or relationships for happiness. These are types of things you got to derive in yourself. But you can't deny that the quality of certain relationships you have in your life, when they're positive, it makes for an overall better life. You know what I'm saying? Because that's another aspect or a way in which you can expand your world, basically. Because think about like one of the things about the world and truth, you could say all you want how you cool with being alone, but nobody truly wants to be alone. That's something that is just happens by us being spirits and having our own space. And so by default, we're gonna go through times in which it's, you know, we're alone, and the importance of being alone is to have that space for you to be yourself, for you to dive deeper within you and have better things to bring to the surface and better ways to, again, when you now connect with others and you spent a good amount of time with yourself, develop you are and knowing you better, then all of a sudden you able to tap in and inspire other people in ways that help them go within themselves. You're able to perceive certain aspects of them that make them better, and vice versa. They do that same to you. So nobody really wants to be just in the world alone, but sometimes it's just what you got to do during certain phases of your life as a lesson to learn more about you, right? But the point is never to stay there. And that's where a lot of that whole, you know, healing and stuff became a trend. And I was explaining that. It's getting dark, you know what I'm saying? But you know what I'm saying, that's that whole trend, or healing itself being a trend, you know what I'm saying, where it's like, oh, let's you know, this healing process, and how, you know, and again, that's when we talking about pop culture and spirituality, where they're taking a lot of these ideas and they're kind of turning them into, like I said, pop culture things without the actual substance, and they lose track of the real meaning. See, part of healing is not away from the world, hiding away from your responsibilities and giving excuses or justifications as to how you acting and whatnot. You know, healing is an active practice. You have to, you know, when you're in the process of healing, it comes to a certain point where you need to now get back out there and try new things. It's not about trying to hide away and completely, you know, separate yourself from anything in the world as far as real relating and real, you know what I'm saying, the things that actually make you scared to do. Because a lot of times then you was traumatized by a certain relationship or a certain connection with someone outside of you, and so you reverted back into yourself. So that's part of that contraction. But again, at some point we gotta expand again. We got to get back out there again, or else we stay into our own perception, our own prison in a lot of ways, where people now want to completely be recluses. And see, you know, if you got to think about it like in real life, if a person decides to be a hermit and they lock themselves in a mountaintop, you know, for some amount of years and stuff like that, yeah, they might have some good meditation and stuff like that. But see, there's a disconnect, right? Because at a certain point, it's like, what's the point of that? Because what happens when you isolate yourself, you kind of lose a sense of your social skills, right? And what are social skills? Social skills are it's like air energy. What's the purpose of air? Air helps us communicate and convey messages, right? Communicate and convey, and also receive, analyze, and understand and interpret, right? So if you lessen that skill, it's like if you're not using that actively, when you get back into society, you lose out on that aspect of yourself, or that ability, right? You weakens if it's not practiced. And so why is that significant? Because in a sense, right, we all have a connection to God, which is all peace. But you know, God can only work through you if you are utilizing the abilities that, in a sense, God gave you to work with in order to do what you need to do. Everything we have, as far as like our chakras and these organs and stuff like that, this was created to do one thing, and that was create, to continue to express it. All the things, all the qualities we have, you know what I'm saying? All these things, these are meant to best help us express who we are. And if you choose to neglect something, essentially God gave you, or you created, right, in this body, you almost like sabotage your ability to be able to be for something real. And that vessel is like you being a vessel for God, right, to do things in God's favor, or for you to be, again, your true self. And see, being your true self is allowing God to play out as a vessel, because all God is trying to do is expand the universe. It's all possibilities. So if you come here from your solo space, your soul, where you're from as a spirit that no one else knows about, right? Your dreams, your imaginations, after you take time by yourself, isolated in your own space, right? If you find ways to better communicate and convey those messages, God can't really do much through you. So you're forced to cling to other outdated ways of going about life in the world, because you're not into who you really are. This how people end up just living very mediocre lives. And again, ain't nothing wrong with a simple life, but my point is, and not everybody's here to live life in some kind of fantasy extreme way. Explaining though is, you know, everything we have is for us to be able to utilize as almost like a creative way, you know what I'm saying, to be able to utilize it. And it goes all the way down to the things, you know, your intellect, your that intellect, but down to your hands, your hand gestures, your body language and stuff like that, how your blood flows in general. You are a vibe, you are an energy signature. So you need to be able to use everything in the vessel you created to show in the other individual. And the thing about it is, we do this in relation to other individuals to show them sides of themselves, and for them to reciprocate that. They show us sides of ourselves, and we expand through the relationships of people we know. And in different positions, we see life at different angles. And all of this, again, is contributing to things that you put in your arsenal that become better ways for you to convey your messages. And those messages that you convey from a pure space, these are where God is now speaking. And you again, you don't know who you might inspire when you open up your mouth and just say that's on your heart. But again, it's not for you to be concerned about that. It's about you to do it, and you to do it, you know, as a duty and obligation, you know, what it really means. So when we talk about, you know, the circumstance we're going through right now, a lot of people might be afraid to kind of go that next level. A lot of people might still be, you know, wondering whether or not they actually know enough, or that they belong on that, whether they have what it takes to carry out that energy. And it's really about you just putting it to the test. You have to see, you have to experience for yourself in order to know. And that's the main thing. But see, the good thing is, it is a trine with the sun. It's the gift to be able to act out and practice what you preach, whether you right or wrong. You know what I'm saying? Right. Open up. You're safe. Right. That's what's up. It's that half moon. Right. That half moon ain't no joke, because that's when we have to fully go for it before we hit the full. So you can't leave anything out on the table. At this point, it is what it is. And whether you gotta, you know what I'm saying, make your adjustments, you know, in planting bad seeds, this is where you gotta now get in that dirt and get things right. You know, part of that might be you choosing to expand, right? And see, the gift of it, you know, the gift of it is how we're seeing things is to be fixated, but how we feel is more mutable, right? Because that's where Sagittarius is. So, and then the cardinal energies is attending to mistakes and attending to our spiritual path. So when it comes to our spiritual path and our mistake, the Aries energy needs us to initiate a new way to see it. So we got to look at mistakes different, and we got to look at our spiritual path different. That becomes a gift with the moon and Sagittarius, because now we can start to in a way that adapts and changes according to the new we're seeing our mistakes and the new way we're seeing our spiritual path. And then now we take that information and we apply it to where the sun is at, where we're taking the most action. And that becomes a way of expressing this and of seeing it, so we can lock in to this new perception if it's the right one, right? And all the other planets are really giving that trine information. So again, the Jupiter, Mars, right? It might be opposite Sagittarius. So this new perspective is going to feel uncomfortable, right? We might not feel comfortable in it. It might not feel safe and familiar, but that's not, again, life is not about feeling good, feeling safe. It's about learning, growing, and choosing to, and relating to things in a proper way, right? So again, the moon kind of being opposite to this, it might feel uncomfortable, but there's a opportunity there. Same conjunction, right? That information that we're passionate about to try to expand, that information is now giving our expression more color, or more direction, because air and fire color, air provides the direction, the logic. So now we're coming up with better logical way of conveying or expressing ourselves on that stage, right? So the perspective shift that the moon is bringing in is highly crucial as we change our morality and as we fix our perception, due to the fact that, you know, the communication between Sagittarius, where the moon is at, and Aries, where Chiron and in the North Node is, that communication is about, hey, okay, what's the new way you seeing it? The moon is asking the moon is basically asking Chiron, like, so, you know, what's the new way you see it? Oh, that's how you see it now? Okay, let me develop now. Let me feel with a morality that makes sense and gives a meaning and reason into that. And then it's looking at the North Node and saying, yo, what's the new way you see your spiritual path? Oh, okay. So this is how I can start to feel and shift my morality that makes it more comfortable and acceptable to walk down this path of business, or whatever you want to call it, right? Spiritual path. So boom. And that right there that's the color, right? And then you got Mars and Jupiter, right? It's giving logic to, so it's opposite the moon, but it's giving logic to, let's go to the what the Aries energy is. The logic or the information that we're learning through our passion and expansion with Mars and Jupiter in Gemini, that is working as an opportunity to give more logic to why we need to get over certain mistakes, why we need to adjust how we're approaching or know about our spiritual path. Because it might be, right, we might be on our spiritual path, but there might need to be there might be things that we don't quite know yet about our spiritual path. Or, because here's the thing, right? When we think about a spiritual path, spiritual like a physical thing, this is kind of what we're drawn to do. But we in this world, right, there's certain ways to go about it that make that transition smooth or make sense or impactful in the world we in. It's, in order to play the game, you got to understand all the pieces involved so that you can move the right piece to get the desired effect. So it's like, if you playing chess, you need to know what the rook can do. You need to know what the bishop can do. You need to know what the knight can do, the pawn can do. So you need to know these different positions so you know how to move in a way that makes sense, apply to the game. So your spiritual path is beyond the game, but a lot of times your spiritual path to get there, right? Let's say part of your path, your purpose could be somewhat, everybody got a similar kind, I want to help people, right? Let's just use that as an example. My spiritual path is to help people with their minds and think better, right? But to do that, right, you still in a world, you got to pay the rent. You still in a world where you got to create a stance to attract the attention and to be able to influence people for your message that have some validity or some credibility. So you have to think, what's the best logical way to go about that? You know, that might, like, you again getting a job that can help your living situation. Once your living situation is set up, this might look like you being able to set up your own business or something like that, or get online and set up a profile and figure out a curriculum that you can post online as content. And I'm explaining a very generic example of how to go about this, but and it don't have to be like being a content. Could be like, well, you know, I do need a way to get income. It might be looking like you getting a job at your local school school or something like that, and I want to help people. So I kind of like working with kids. Maybe I should get a job in this field so that I could be closer to the community and I could do this. Like, it's so many different ways to go about it. And that's the beautiful part about it all. Your spiritual path is beyond the game, but the game is just what we might have to utilize and the pieces that we have available, tools that we have available. It's like, you got to look at the world as a big old toolbox, right? And you might get frustrated at some of the things that we got to do. And yeah, a lot of it is bullshit. But on the other end of it, all of these things are just other ways that we, things that we can utilize in a creative way to continue to do what we're here to do, what we're meant to do, whether it be your purpose, your mission, your goals in life and things like that, right? Once you develop like a purpose, and the purpose is really, it's like a goal that's larger than you. Like a small mundane or material goal might be you just getting a house, you just getting a certain job or a certain amount of, whatever it is, right? Very mundane. But when you start to talk about things like change the world or wanting to inspire others, wanting to be a good artist to help when you start to talk about things that's larger than you, things that potentially you might not even be able to do all in this lifetime, that's when you start to getting into like a real, what I'm saying? And the thing about a purpose is not trying to create some unattainable goal, but the idea is it's something that keeps you waking up every day to carry it out. And you could live your whole life doing your purpose. Like, you're supposed to be doing. It's not like, oh, I gotta wait till I get to this point to do my purpose. You really need to be your purpose through everything you do. So even the small things, even how you go to your local grocery store, you carry yourself in a way that embodies that purpose. And that's how you really supposed to live, and how you live and let God work through you. You know what I'm saying? Because everything you do becomes a reflection of what you believe in and how you see yourself. And that's a key word too, because that's like ninth house energy. That's like Sag energy. When we talk about practicing what you preach, embodying what you believe, that's how that's how a morality is developed. And morality is like a spiritual compass that starts to define and give direction to your life. And it's almost like it becomes a way of life. And that way of life, that's your lifestyle. And that's how you go about it. And other people can see that. That's why it's like a fire. It's like other people can see that from you based upon how you move, how you travel, where you've been. You know what I'm saying? Long distance travel. These are the things that Sagittarius kind of relates to. The ninth house, you know what I'm saying? Where you been though. This person is more worldly. They've seen different cultures. They've been in different circumstances that make them what we call or equate to wise. Oh, that's wise. That's a wise way to go about that, because you considered multiple different angles of how to up a situation, how to look at a certain thing. So that kind of plays into a lot of what we're going through right now. So, that's the whole idea. So, Mars and Jupiter, going back to what I was saying, that's the opportunity is providing, Chiron in the North Node, more information on how to see these things. Now, Jupiter is not where it likes to be, so that's coming through information which might be misinformation, and the potential for you to be lost more so than stuff that's actually helpful and giving you more perspectives on how to attack a situation or something that you're trying to carry out as a mission or a goal or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So you got to be aware of that. You got to be aware of where the distractions are still playing a role. And Scorpio should be helping you kind of come to grips with that. There's things we got to release. And if we keep upholding these things, this is the reason why we can't blame nobody else but ourselves. We not where we want to be at. So that's just what it is. No foul, nobody else's fault. It's you. You know what I'm saying? You the issue. So once we adopt that and we take accountability of that, now we're able to adjust ourselves and grow the way to. Now, like I said before, Scorpio shit already flashing a big old flashlight on certain internal things we still doing behind closed doors that don't help us elevate, don't help us expand. So and it was sextile Venus, we talked about that, and a little bit of Mercury. So we were thinking about that, and then we got to we started to love and appreciate the adjustment. So hopefully you was loving and appreciating the adjustment. But that vibe kind of shifts tomorrow when we get the moon in Sagittarius, because Venus is going to square now with the moon. Now Venus in Virgo square the moon in Sag, to be kind of learning how to, it's almost like part of it is really learning how to appreciate how uncomfortable we feel, or the feeling of expansion, because expansion doesn't always feel comfortable. So we're going to be learning how more comfortable with expanding, or we're going to be learning through a spasm. So this is also us on the other end, right? This square, this friction can cause you to, again, fall back again. And now you're trying to learn how to cope. It's like and how to cope energy, where you might start to mix things up, where you try to do some Virgo. It's almost like the Virgo going to show you, it's going to bring that friction, which you love, appreciate, and value. If you don't put it in, it's going to want you to put something into a routine and to appreciate it. So if the moon, right, in Sagittarius is looking to expand, that's what it's going to appreciate, and it's going to be able to put in the work to get to a change. But if it's on the other end and that moon, it says, you know what, nah, I'm out of here, and it plays out the energy of escapism, right? That's like planting bad seeds. Then that's going to be you trying to, again, go overboard and expand on pleasures, trying to get that same feeling back. You like almost like, no, I need to go extra hard in a desired effect, because you probably already been separating from that thing, whatever it was, habit or something you was loving, appreciating, right? But now you seeing it's not effective. So you already might have been lessening up on it, but this might be an energy where you reverse on getting too scared, and where you know you need to expand. And part of expanding sometimes separating from stuff that you know that keeps you heavy. You know, that's the part of expansion people don't really talk about a lot. Is part of expansion is letting go. You know, that's why Scorpio right before Sagittarius. Part of expansion is letting go of everything that kept you heavy. If you don't let go of those things that drag you down, you won't ascend. You won't reach the top. You won't continue to grow and float and be able to travel, because that's a light energy. You know what I'm saying? It's an energy that's supposed to be light and mobile. You know what I'm saying? That's the thing about Sagittarius, and the same thing about Gemini. When we hit these seasons, it's about mobility and how much freedom you actually do got. Now, we all got responsibilities, and that's where Virgo energy can feel frustrating and create friction with Sagittarius energy, because it's almost like a tap on the soldier. The soldier, keep saying soldier, a tap on the shoulder. That's like, hey, Sag, but you got these responsibilities. Hey, you got to clean this up. Hey, we got an appointment at 3 o'clock, or we got practice at 3 to 2, or 3 to 5, or something like that. You know, it's a reminder that might not, it's like, come on, let me just expand, be me, let me be free. But sometimes, you know, like if y'all ever heard the saying, freedom, the more like structured you are in life, the more free you actually are. Which is like, it kind of goes against think, right? You might think, well, if I want to be free, then I need less responsibilities, less structure in my life. But what you start to learn is the more structure you have in a lot of cases, the more you know how to optimize your time. And when you can optimize your time, you have more authority, autonomy, and choice. And you know what I'm saying, you have more, you can be a lot more intentional when you optimize your time, versus living a very chaotic life. You all over the place, therefore you always at the beck and call of what you forgot to take care of the previous day or the previous time. So you always kind of chasing your tail. You always trying to clean up something rather than getting something established. You always trying to, you know, correct something that would have did it right the first time. You would have been done with it. You know how they say, do it right. You know, what they say, do it wrong, do it long, do it right. Yeah, I don't know what they rhyme that with, but that's the whole idea of it. Is that, oh, you either gonna do it wrong and take a long time doing it, or if you do right, you only got to do it one time. So this is that reminder of that through the Venus energy. It's like, if you do it right, you won't have to keep on doing it as a karma, as a insanity loop. You know what I'm saying? The type that sometimes people be throwing themselves in insanity loops where they keep going about something the same exact way, getting the same result, but then be confused as to why it still ain't working for them. And it's no surprise. It's because you aren't seeing it different and choosing to do different. You know what I'm saying? If you know better, you got to do better. And this is kind of this is the response of Jupiter. This is where Jupiter kind of starts to see that higher octave. And if we think about the higher octave, I like to look at the opposite energy as inspiration to show you. You know what I'm saying? It's like the opposite of the Sag with Gemini, which is thinking straight. You know what I'm saying? Thinking. And now Gemini has its own problems with action, but still a higher octave Jupiter, Sagittarius, is going to start to come to conclusions as if, oh, if I know better, I got to do better. You know what I'm saying? I can actually, you know, analyze a situation to come up with a better logic. I don't have to just buy the, you know, just go with the wind. So that becomes the challenge. Now, it's just the moon is opposite Mars. So we feel uncomfortable about what we're pretending about. And we might start to feel angry and resentful about certain things that we feel like are holding us back. You know, we might start to blame others. But really, again, you got to look at yourself first. And you got to understand. Because right now, Jupiter and Mars too, a lot of bad advice floating around based upon somebody's passion or aggression. You know what I'm saying? You can't, and also it's kind of like it's very much a mind your business type of energy, because you gonna feel all the need to tell somebody else you think and how you think they should expand. But you really got to sit with yourself and mind your business, so you make sure you expand in the right way. So first of all, you don't create no unnecessary fights where you're not even right. You know what I'm saying? A lot of but people gonna feel like they got authority to tell you what they think or what's wise for you to do. And it's like, you gotta, that's also where you gotta tell people to back the fuck up and be like, or just let people talk and be like, man, I ain't listening to none of that. You know, a lot of you know, bad, and it's not that it's bad advice, but it might be advice coming from the wrong angle. So it might be somebody that might be low-key you at, or somebody who, again, they are caught up in their own personal frustrations, so they're trying to advise others. And when they advise you, it's just like, it don't apply to necessarily things you got in your life. So if you were to take that advice, it would lead you to experience something that they going through, and that ain't your journey. That's not your karma. That's not your situation to deal with. You should have just minded your business. If you minded your business, you're going to be passionate about yourself. So this is going to be you getting up and getting the information you need. At least that's what it should look like. Or it's going to be like, again, you either going to be doing this energy for yourself or trying to get in everybody else's business, causing havoc and chaos in their life because you think you wise. But you wise about everybody else's situation except for your own. So you might even see that in the media right now, where somebody is slick. I think kind of that, if y'all know that Young Thug and Sell Woody and shit like that, where now he done got exposed for a completely ratting thug, and he caught in a situation. I think he even getting some extra charges and stuff like that, because, you know, it's kind of like catching up with him as far as things he was trying. You saw him online trying to express himself and try to, you know what I'm saying, be on the balloon pop show and stuff. So, you know, but now he back in a situation where now his life about to be in the same position of somebody else's business he was trying to get into and stuff like that. It's like, it's kind of tricky energy right now, where to invest in somebody else's business, you liable to, or you're prone to just kind of get caught up in some chaos. You know what I'm saying? You really got to mind your own and watch what you're on, and make sure it's something applied to your growth, your truth. Because if that wasn't true, if you didn't have no integrity behind what it is that you were saying and what you was involved in, learning more about and expanding in, then it really just falls short. And then that becomes less that you have to work with. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, that's something you got to keep in mind for yourself. Now, when it comes to other energies such as the moon and okay, the moon and what's up, Kobe? The moon in Sagittarius, right? It's also going to make a in conjunction with Taurus, Uranus and Taurus. So misunderstanding how to change in the first place. But one thing about change, right? When we misunderstand change, we got to understand change is simple. All change is whatever we was doing previously, we need to incorporate something new in it, or we need to take something from it in order to come up with a new way of going about it. So again, we might feel like we misunderstand what we need to change, so we might not know what to switch up. But the more and more we allow ourselves to kind of go through the process of being frustrated and expanding, you know what I'm saying, and like deep down inside, you probably do already know what it is that needs to change in your life. You probably already suspect things, and you know in your heart, like, yo, this right here, yeah, it might be right now, but I know it doesn't help me in the long run. So you got to keep that in mind too. You got to look at yourself and just be real. And everything about Uranus, right? Uranus is in Taurus. I believe it's retrograde too, or yeah, I think it's retrograde too. So with Uranus too, it's like, you got to keep in mind, we're trying to, when it comes to insecurity and things like that, we're putting together some kind of stance that can actually work for us and create stability. So everything that we're changing is for the sake of getting to a more stable place, and everything we're rebelling from is things that's keeping us unstable, unsecure, and all over the place, right? So the moon, you got to keep in mind. So that's where that kind of, do I escape or do I expand? That's where that matters, because we know that expansion is what's going to lead to us being more stable and secure. So if you misunderstand what to change, what to rebel against, we need to rebel against everything that represents us still being in a state of chaos, still being in a state of being not safe, not secure. So that could look like you, again, this will help you make the more wise, mature decision based upon what you know is going to lead to a more stable circumstance, right? And rebel against the things that's not leading to that. And again, Sagittarius, understand Sagittarius as an energy. Sagittarius rather take that leap of faith if it feels better than to buckle down and make something work, just by the nature of the energy. And so you got to understand right now, the moon gonna make everybody a little flighty, but you got to decide for yourself, nah, I need to, instead of escaping, expand on this. Now, speaking of escapism too, Saturn being retrograde in Pisces has been a big player in whether or not getting more comfortable with, or not getting more comfortable, but it's been forcing us to look at life in a sense of, how can I create a reality I don't have to keep escaping from, right? So Saturn already been dealing with Pisces, because Pisces is all about that dream imagination, but we've recently been seeing the reality of that and being forced to kind of go back and readjust considering what's real and what's not. And we've been able to pinpoint more accurately the ways we choose escapism over things that don't feel comfortable on the forefront, but we know have a long-term benefit for us to actually get to that reality, that dream world that we want to be in, that we want to stay in, right? So sometimes it becomes difficult because the work involved with bringing that manifesting that to experience feels long and treacherous. It's a lot of work, you know what I'm saying? Saturn and Pisces, that's this whole transit. So we've been already like, damn, the dream ain't here. I just want to spend, I just need a vacation. I just need to get away. And that's kind of how everybody been feeling in their own life. But we know now, okay, let me stop away from it and just buckle down on the work, right? At least that should be the conclusions you come into. If you still in a space of avoiding that and getting lost in anything you're addicted to, you know what I'm saying, whether it be drugs or it be just social media, anything, right? That's on you playing out energies of being delusional. You don't actually believe you achieving or created nothing real. You just want to stay in that little fantasy land where you don't actually have to do no work, where you don't actually have to prove that you can construct something in reality. You want to stay in the lower octave where you could just feel good and then blame everybody else and become a victim the second you don't see things for you working out. And that's, again, that leads to what y'all know, right? It leads to your detriment and stuff like that. But for the most part, Saturn is going to be squaring the moon. So we're learning how to feel about reality, learning how to apply a proper morality to it, to build on what we believe, basically. Because now Pisces and Sag is the morality. So it's the compass, the direction, the masculine. Pisces is the feminine, so it's the belief system, it's the faith something, you know what I'm saying? I believe this is true, I have faith in it. The practice of it, of the preaching of what you believe, has to look like the morality, the lifestyle, aka Sagittarius energy. So when you got these two energies, they share Jupiter, so their friction a lot more beneficial, or a lot more in sync. Just like when you got Mercury and we got Mercury and Venus, you know what I'm saying? Venus is in Virgo, Mercury in well, for this sake, right, because I don't want to confuse nobody, Mercury as far as Jupiter, Mercury as far as Gemini and Virgo. So the Mercury and Gemini and Virgo have the same relationship Pisces and Sag have, right, where their square is sharing the same planet. So it's the same principles, just different side coin. And then when you get the other side, that's the same thing with them. So when it comes to the Sagittarius, the moon and Saturn at the moment, this is learning how to feel, how to apply, learning how to feel by applying the right morality to what it is we believe in so that we actually build it, right? And it's kind of like, I like to look at the transit sometime as, you know, everything is like a bridge that connects each thing, right? You as a spirit can kind of use these energy travels to kind of desired result you want, right? Trying to say that in the least spookism way, because that's really what it is, right? So certain energies that align with others way can provide information for another alignment or negative way. And it's not positive or negative. It's all, you know, how we break down each alignment. Like for this example, right? The square between the moon and Saturn is a learning process, right? But what we learn from there, where Saturn is, which is Pisces, our belief, and kind of dealing with the reality of what we believe, right? Us learning how to apply the proper morality to build that in reality, then we can take that information and give it to the trine that it's making with energies like the sun, which is in Leo. So we can actually set the stage for what we believe in by learning a better morality about it, if you know what I'm saying. So a lot of times, like, that's why kind of when I'm going through energies, like what I do in my own personal practice, and not to give too much of what I do away, it's all a good game, you know what I'm saying? But for the most part, what it is whenever you're looking at transits, or you're trying, you know, you're listening to an astrologer, or you're just looking at the planets, right? You gotta, when you already as a spirit gotta know what you in life. When you know where the energy's at, you understand how energy is flowing regardless. So now that you know how energy is flowing, you can start to pick pieces based upon what you know these planets mean and create your own kind of energy. You know, you use your own energy signature to incorporate what needs to be incorporated, you need to do to manifest for yourself, you know. And that's really what we all do. And the reason why we do astrology on a, you know, say we do these lives and we do videos telling y'all where the planets is, you know, the weather system, because it's the equivalent of, you understand, hey, it's going to rain from this time and this time of the day, so I should probably use this type of umbrella, and then I should probably have a change of clothes because it's finna get, you know what I'm saying? So I know I'm finna go through this building and be here from 8 to 9, so I need to, you know what I'm saying, type of shit where you can plan out your day if you know the weather system. So this is just energy weather, but an energy weather is used for things that you act trying to do, like, you know, how you trying to structure your day. You know you're gonna have to go to work, so, you know, let me be aware of this at work so I could wear this kind of mentality, and this type of mentality keeps me away from other people's raindrops or something like that, because everybody going to be watery today, or whatever it might be, you know what I'm saying? Or I could wear a wind blocker or windbreaker. You know, it might be cold in the office today, everybody in their mind, everybody in their thoughts, so it's gonna be a lot of talking, and people might say things that I don't feel comfortable with, and I don't need to be as though, because it's all air, so I need a coat, you know, like type shit, you know what I'm saying, if y'all understand the allegory of it. So, you know, this becomes, you know, why this type of stuff is important, you know what I'm saying? But getting back to Sagittarius, where with Saturn, it's learning how to, you know, build a better morality or what we believe. Or this is going to be trying to expand or go extreme on the delusion. So, you know, because we don't like reality, I might take that frustration and refuse to learn from it, and instead try to escape entirely. And so this could look like you completely dropping what you once believed in. And this could be positive too, because this could be you understanding through dealing with that friction that, hey, I've been completely delusional and I need to completely abandon what I once believed. So that might be beneficial, but the more negative end would be you kind of just choosing to escape, even though this belief, what you still believe in, but you're choosing to just kind of run from it, ignore it, or expand on a way to play out the energy more delusional. So instead of kind of going through an experience, it's almost like avoiding experiences, avoiding how you feel about reality. Again, things might actually be, you know, falling apart, so you ignore how you feel about reality for the sake of trying to escape it, and that in and of itself is delusional, because we're supposed to be learning how to apply a better morality about it so we can go about without any guilt on our heart. Instead, you might be like, man, fuck all that, I don't like that, I don't like my reality, I'm just gonna go into try to get involved in to escape that, because I don't want to be responsible for that as a belief, whatever, you know what I'm saying? But you still holding it as a belief. You still chasing it. You still say, yeah, I want to achieve this, but I'm not going to spend no time coming up with a better way to see it. I'm just going to magically get there. So more delusional energy don't look like you doing even more things that look like you're just really avoiding what you got to do anyway. Shout out to Famous Mallow. So it's like, don't put yourself in no kind of, you know, hell like that. Because Sag would put themselves in hell based upon trying to run away from everything. Not you trying to run away from these cages, not understanding that the mentality you in to feel like you got to run away out of a cage or escape a cage is your hell. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, that sets back. Right, you said action is mandatory. It is, because action is how you actually get the result of something. You know what I'm saying? That'd be the thing. If you're not actually putting your efforts toward anything, you just in your thoughts and feelings, they're not going to take you nowhere. And that's why thoughts and feelings, like I said before, they either coincide with your truth, or they dilute it, or strengthen, I should say, is the word for it. They strengthen your truth. And your truth needs to be your ritual and what you practice with your body, energy, and what you do. You know, if you're not doing it, again, it goes in the beginning. If you're not practicing it, if you're in it, then you're not actually expanding in it. You're staying right there in that same you in, complacent and still. And we know that in this world, it's all about flow. You know what I'm saying? You got to keep it moving. Thoughts got to be flowing. Feelings got to be flowing. Your actions got to be fluid. The more stiff you are, you know that usually means you're more sickly, or that means you're more elderly. When you get elderly, it's harder to move, harder to think outside of how you think. You know, who remain young are the ones who stay fluid. You know what I'm saying? Same thing with illness in the body. All illness comes from just things being stuck there. Oh, it's stuck. It's a point of contention. Things slow down here. Not enough of this to keep this pumping. Not enough of that flowing. So all these different things show you in life that whenever you refuse to change and refuse to act, and see, the reason people do that is because they don't decide. They come to decisions and stuff like that. It keeps them procrastinating. It keeps them stagnant. And this is why people develop serious, it's like cancer, or, you know, extreme illnesses. And that people, again, you might come up with a whole new illness no one ever heard of, just based upon how much energy you got and your inability to allow it to flow. And this is why we have to constantly clean our minds and our mentalities through meditation, or through, you know, or through expression. Both things really got to incorporate all kinds of things in your own system that works for you, so you could continue to facilitate energy and be used vessel for God and things like that. Because God can't work with too much shit on you anyway. And when you don't act on things, a lot of times that's how you building up energy in ways, you know what I'm saying? Because you're not acting on things, you're not putting things out, expressing it, all kinds of stuff. So we have to keep that in mind when we're just going through life in general. But you know, when it comes to this energy right here, the moon, you know, squaring, so that's going to be the main thing, right? What a moon is also going to, I might have hit all the major points. Hold on, let me see. But yeah, but that's a lot of what we dealing with right now. Yeah, the moon, yeah, Mars, about Uranus, Saturn, Pluto. Yeah, so the moon, it's not really making too much of a direct alignment with Pluto, although Pluto is 0 degrees. So that is kind of a cause to understand that there's an opportunity there as far as transformation. This what we're doing now and experiencing now, it plays a part in the overall transformation of ourselves when it comes to what's going to be necessary for our network and community and associations, right? Not to keep using the word community, because I feel like that'd be a trigger word sometimes. But for the sake of what we, you know, what we talking about, it really is, we can use the word association, if we will, you know what I'm saying, where everything associated with, both outside, externally, and internally. The way you associate with your own ideas, the way you associate with your own feelings, and the way you associate with the choices you decide for yourself. Because see, you can have a bad way of relating or associating with choices that you want to make. every time you make a choice to do something, you think yourself out of it based upon just your association with it. You think yourself doing it based upon whatever insecurity you got or vulnerability you're not trying to go, you know. So we have to keep it those kinds of things in mind too, where we might have a bad way of dealing with our own mental, you know, the thoughts. You might want to do something nice for somebody, but then here come your mind attacking itself to prevent you from doing something, and then you let time pass and you realize later on that, oh damn, I missed the opportunity to express this to this person or communicate that to a person, or I missed the opportunity to act on something that I seen as a vision. I had that idea, man. I wanted to make a music video just like that, and so here comes somebody else doing it. They copied me, and it's like, come on, dude, did you actually do it, or you just kind of talking about something you thought about but you ain't do it? So you can't, they copied you if you ain't do it. That idea was for everybody. You know what I'm saying? You can't claim nothing until you internalize it and make it yours, you know, press it back and make it something special. You know what I'm saying? I know it sounds good and it feels good to somebody copy my idea, but nobody copied your idea because they by default had to do it their unique way to get it done anyway. So your concept and stuff like that. But it's like, if you ain't do it, then I mean, it's fair game. That's why you got to get up and do what's on your mind. Don't keep sitting there letting time go by and then blame everybody else if they did something to you. You know what I'm saying? That's that entitlement energy. And a lot of humans be all up in there where they feel extremely entitled about something that they shouldn't even be proud of expressing and feeling. You shouldn't be proud of feeling envy else doing something that you've been wanting to do for X amount of time. You should be embarrassed to even express that. Like, you should walk around act like you never even thought of doing nothing like that. Yeah, I ain't never had no idea like that. That's crazy, because how you claim, oh, I had that idea, I just ain't do it. You know what I'm saying? At that point, you should just keep that to yourself. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, don't do that to yourself. Don't put yourself in situations where, you know, you're not able to kind of backport it with reality, you know. But right now, the transformation going on, it's like there's an opportunity there for us to allow this morality to lead us towards the transformation, so that when the full moon does come, we've already adjusted our character in a way that, again, we practice what we preach now. You can see it now. It's expanded and it's wise. So it carries on into the next energy, because after this is going to be Capricorn, which is going to be the status of things. So you're going to see the reality. You're going to feel the reality of how you positioned yourself. But to get to that position, you need the correct moral compass that's going to lay the map down to get you. That's like form of expansion, because it's like the only way you can get to a position is you create a pathway to it. And it kind of go back to what I was saying about your spiritual path being beyond this world, but you still within this world. So you got to operate and move and create a path to get to that point, whatever your purpose is. Even if your purpose is just to do something very simple, you know what I'm saying? As long as you still got to figure out a way to create that works down here, so that as below can reflect as above. So as above and beyond that that's where your real spiritual path is. But as below, within, you know, or with, you know what I'm saying, as below, you able to operate and move in the world, and that you can still, again, you don't have to be some kind of broke guru and stuff like that, where because you spiritual, you feel like, oh, I should be homeless, or you spiritual, you feel like you should be in the woods rotting and stuff like that with other people who are musty and stuff. So you can decide for yourself to be in a situation where it's like, I don't gotta suffer down here. I can still, again, you supposed to be a powerful spirit, so you create a circumstance down here that reflect up there too. And so if you feel way about yourself, then you need to make it so to operate down here as such. If you don't, then again, how strong is your magic for real? And I understand we in a circumstance where the way the things have been set up, again, it's all fucked up. But again, even through that, it's like we still got to figure out a way to make our life work sufficiently. We have to come up with a system, you know what I'm saying? Or, you know, if we don't come up with a system for ourselves, then again, that's poor spiritual maintenance too. You know what I'm saying? You letting the overtake you letting the world tell you what you can experience and limiting you. You know what I'm saying? And you could blame the world and the rules and the structure of society all you want, but at the end of the day, you've seen it work. And again, it don't mean it's righteous. It don't mean it's right, the right thing to do. It don't mean it's positive. But it's like you can make it work. You know what I'm saying? You gotta find that, you gotta create that system. You know, and we all doing that on some level. It makes sense. You know, otherwise we just preaching at that point and we just all over the place. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Busy Bean. You know what I'm saying? We just all over the place, and we gotta be more sufficient. You know what I'm saying? We gotta be more sufficient. And part of that, again, it takes a team to do that. Teamwork got to make the dream work. That's the importance of, you know, when we say community and stuff, like when we say certain things like coming together, and, you know, any real change in the world is going to require people coming together in a better system. You know what I'm saying? But everybody has to be their own leader in a sense. So that's a part of you in your own life, taking accountability, taking responsibility, and making do with what you got. Because it's not about having everything. It's not about having the same thing you see other people had to get a head start. It's about you taking what you got, do your magic. That's what we talk about, right? You know what I'm saying? Do your magic. And again, like, I'm not saying everybody got to have, I'm not saying you're supposed to like your fingers and make $1 million, but it really is like, you got to look at yourself and say, well, what I do have, I need to make sure I'm going about it in a way that helps and too, that helps, you know, that works for me, where I can sit back and say, oh no, look, my responsibilities is still taken care of, you know, because that's the other part of it. The spiritual part, very important. But then there's a other part. We still having a human experience in this world. So it's like, you still got to make that look somewhat decent too. You know what I'm saying? You got to make that operate too. You got to make that look straight too, so that there's actual real equilibrium, because you still might be leaning on one or the other. And again, you can get lost in all that material shit, and you can get lost in the spiritual shit. Just be too spiritual. Now you so separate from reality that God still can't work through you because you've isolated yourself. That's what spirituality is. So don't isolate yourself from the work. This is work too. The connections you got on this plane, in this dimension, are work too. And that's just as important as your relationship with yourself and God and stuff like that. But you still gotta figure out, you know, and this is not about being a friend to everybody in the world and being a sucker, you know what I'm saying? Being naive and being, you know, getting taken advantage of and getting lost in a game. This is being a leader amongst sheep. This is you being a leader amongst lost individuals, and not allowing lost individuals to keep you frustrated and in low energies and tired and drained and stuff like that. This is you getting yourself in a position, in reality, you can start to put these motherfuckers to work. You own the business. You tell them where to go. You when to clock in and when to clock out. Nobody telling you what to do, because you on your shit. But you can't do that if you too lost in trying to be la la land spiritual, project all reality, and that, you know what I'm saying? It's like we here to experience too, and all these things is tools. So if we really want to change the world, that look like getting your ass in some kind of stable position to start to take some people who don't know what to do with their minds and start to, hey, come over here. You know, I see what the shadow government do. Let me come over here. Let me show you another system to do. We got some things we need to build over here with my community. We got some building, some trees we need y'all to cut down, since y'all just want to waste time and stuff like that. Yeah, we got some job. Yeah, we got this for you. Yeah, we got that for you. That's how you work it. You know what I'm saying? And that right there is like same thing they did. They, you know what I'm saying, what they was doing when they was trying to situate stuff for themselves. And you know, it's all a balance, you know what I'm saying? Because all of this shit, man, it can get murky. I said mercury. It can get all kinds of murky. You know what I'm saying? You know, so many ways to go about it, and so many things that we not responsible for. Conversations that we was not in the room for, that led to a system of society that worked the way it worked. You know what I'm saying? Nobody like they asked for this, but you know, it's just, it is what it is. So, you know, you decide for yourself how you want to play it. And you know, you do your shit. And at that point, again, at the end of the day, if you do what you can, and there is nothing to complain about. You know what I'm saying? If you do everything in your power in this lifetime to do you, and again, at the end of the day, it's just about you being you. So if you do everything in your power to be you to the fullest, that's all that really matters. You know, anything else, you can let that shit fall. You know what I'm saying? because it really ain't got nothing to you, you know. But while you here, you have the opportunity and the power to utilize your influence, utilize your power, utilize your mind, your creativity, create something, bridge gaps, and build. You know what I'm saying? And again, when it's all said and done, you either coming back here to do that shit again and or continue pick up where you left off, or you on your where you belong. You know what I'm saying? But that's your choice. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, yeah, you know what I'm saying? So y'all have a good moon in Sagittarius transit. Be on the lookout for the Women Teach One class. So if you've been interested in getting into the Each One Teach One course, which is an interactive community building way to kind of learn different aspects of spirituality and astrology and things like that, then make sure y'all tap sign-ups is going to be very soon for the women's Each One Teach One class, and that's like depth divine feminine. So if you're interested in that, y'all want to get involved into that, those classes, let me know. Send us an email just to say, hey, I'm interested at 717conference.info@gmail.com, and it will get that to you. It's gonna be for like another, it's like a couple, I think a month. So you know, make sure, yeah, it's gonna be online. So it's gonna be up, and then it'll be through Zoom, and through the Zoom classes, y'all have your class, and you know, yeah, y'all be able to communicate with each other and things like that. I can, you know, further details are coming, just to give everybody a heads up, you know what I'm saying, so y'all can be on the lookout for that. And if you're interested now, go ahead and let us know you're interested so that we can mark your name down, and then we can send you a notification when we got the details ready for y'all and the signups ready. Yeah, it's gonna be Wifey's gonna be in there. She leading it free, and then along with the Hanged Empress, Jackie New, Jade, Iman, and I believe yeah, and Shine in the Darkness. So you know, very dope spiritual women. They're gonna be kicking that good game. If you interested, go ahead, tap in, you know, let us know. 717conference.info@gmail.com. Yeah, other than that, much love, and I'll catch y'all on this one.